Here's the 4,500 character version. Same story, tighter hooks, full arc, proper ending. They threw me out at 17 for being pregnant. 20 years later, they came back to sue me. The sound of that door slamming behind me is something I will never forget. I was 17 years old, standing on my own front porch in the freezing rain, holding a suitcase that didn't even have half my clothes in it. My father had already tossed it out before I could argue. My crime was simple. I was pregnant. And in that one moment, my parents decided I no longer deserved a home. Standing there shaking under a streetlight, I made myself a silent promise. One day, they would remember my name, whether they wanted to or not. My name is Dana Whitfield. My father, Gerald, sold real estate and cared more about appearances than his own daughter. My mother, Carol, hosted charity brunches and set her wine glass down without even looking at me when I told her I was pregnant. The boy I loved, Tyler Bosch, disappeared within days. His family's lawyer emailed me, warning me never to contact him again. Just like that, I had no home, no boyfriend, no family. I was completely alone. I slept under bus stops with my backpack as a pillow, one hand resting over my stomach, whispering apologies to a baby I hadn't even named yet. I learned which coffee shops would let a shivering girl sit by the window without buying anything, and which alleys were safe when the sun went down. My parents kept living their comfortable lives while I disappeared into the cold. By the second month, hunger and fever had nearly destroyed me. I collapsed near the river one freezing morning, certain that this was finally the end. That's when Margaret Callahan found me. An older woman in a wool coat holding a cup of coffee. She didn't ask a single question. She simply said I'd catch my death out here and took me home. Margaret owned a small chain of restaurants, and she didn't just give me a job, she rebuilt me from nothing. She taught me how to read people, how to run a business, how to turn pain into patience instead of tears. Don't fight fire with tears, she told me one night. Build a bigger fire and control it. Those words never left me. Then tragedy struck again. That winter, I lost my daughter. Margaret sat beside my hospital bed, holding my hand, and told me softly, "Don't lose yourself too. You'll build something greater." Months later, I adopted a baby boy from a nearby shelter and named him Jordan. Holding him for the first time, I promised he would never feel the loneliness I once did. Years passed in quiet, steady rebuilding. I transformed Margaret's restaurants into a modern, thriving business, and eventually bought a condo in the very neighborhood my parents once bragged about at dinner parties. Jordan grew into a brilliant, curious boy, building his own app by age 10 and winning a National Technology Award by 12. Reporters called him a rising prodigy. And that's exactly when my parents suddenly noticed him and decided it was time to reappear in our lives. Not to apologize, to sue me. An elegant letter arrived, dripping with fake affection, insisting that Jordan deserved to know his real family. But my IT specialist, Priya, traced their digital activity within a week and found searches for grandparent visitation rights and inheritance claims through grandchildren. They weren't seeking forgiveness. They were seeking leverage. Worse, they had secretly recruited Tyler, promising him a share of my fortune if he helped soften me up emotionally. So I let them believe it was working. I let my voice tremble on calls. I played the part of the wounded, hopeful daughter. Meanwhile, Priya quietly recorded every text, every call, every incriminating detail, while my attorney Walter built an airtight legal case behind the scenes. The lawsuit landed on a Tuesday morning. Grandparent visitation rights, a claim on my company's profits, dressed up in language about family restoration. Walter called it textbook manipulation. I simply told him, then let's give them exactly what they want. The hearing became the biggest spectacle the city had seen in years. My parents arrived in polished suits, performing the role of heartbroken grandparents for the cameras outside, until the courtroom screen lit up behind them. Email after email appeared, then voice recordings. Then my father's own cold words echoing through the silent room. She's too emotional to fight back. Finally came the decisive blow. A notarized document, signed by both my parents 20 years earlier, formally relinquishing every parental right to protect their precious reputation. My mother's face drained of color. My father tried to argue it was taken out of context, but his voice cracked under the weight of the truth. The judge's gavel came down hard. Case dismissed. All claims denied. Fraud investigation recommended. Security escorted my parents out through a storm of camera flashes, while Tyler slipped away in silent shame. For the first time since I was 17 years old, I did not tremble. Outside the courthouse, the rain had finally stopped.